Hi everyone. It's estimated that there are about 30% of children in the UK that have private tutoring. It's a booming market. It's estimated that it's worth about 2 billion here in the UK. There has been a huge increase in tutoring platforms and tutoring agencies, and for a parent it can be quite an overwhelming experience in finding the right tutor for their child among all those websites, platforms, and also then you need to find the right person with a great fit and who teaches the right things to your child. So in this video, I'm going to provide actionable tips for parents or students who wish to find the best tutor for their specific requirements. So please press likes and subscribe to my channel to hear more videos like this, and let's get into it. Advice number 1, find an educator rather than a tutor. Okay, this might be a little bit controversial because the title of the video says finding the best tutor. So in my opinion, there is a clear difference between an educator and a tutor. A tutor is an umbrella term that encompasses loads of individuals, starting from an A-level student to a teacher with decades of experience. The difference is though that the tutor will focus specifically on that subject and the subject knowledge without doing anything really outside. So in contrast, an educator is someone who does private teaching, probably more likely like for a full-time job or a long-term project, and they don't only focus on a subject-specific material, they actually teach students revision planning, study skills, and career development. So that's quite an important thing, is to actually say, well, do I want a tutor just for a subject-specific thing, or do I want to shape education for my child? So I personally, when I do the teaching, I focus on all the above. I do the study skills, I do revision planning, and also help students see a bigger picture. It's quite important for students to understand that, you know, if they work harder academically, then they can get better grades that will take them to the next step, and finding that motivation. Advice number 2, look for academically driven and successful orientated tutors or educators. Okay, this is for me is quite an important thing. Again, I think if you're looking for an educator to shape the education of your child and motivate them, it's quite important for your children to be able to see, okay, what actually did educators do for their career? And it's quite often educators usually have a career before, either in law or in medicine or in science. For example, I used to be a molecular biologist, and then I kind of went and focused on the education side of things. So it's quite important for children to see where the academic success can take them in future, so they can relate to the educators, because then they'll be like, okay, great, so I can actually see those people and use them as role models to motivate me to then actually study harder and, you know, go for great careers. You also want an educator that will truly believe that regardless of your child's academic setbacks, they can do well in their studies. So interestingly, there has been scientific research that has shown that if teachers actively change their attitudes towards the underperforming students and believe that those students can succeed, those students indeed went on to do great in their exams and gained great exam scores. So that shows to you that if you go for an educator or a tutor who are highly motivated, they can share that motivation with your child and really let them believe that they can do well. That will in turn inspire your child to do well in their studies and then gain the best marks possible. Advice number 3, shop around and understand price and structure. So this is quite an important thing. So you will have loads of different websites recommending different tutors and educators. And I'm not going to name any particular platforms. There are big players in the market which you're all welcome to investigate and do your own research. But the key thing to understand is that if someone is an educator or a tutor, they're quite likely to have the same profile but on different websites. And this is where the pricing structures comes in play. So some websites will be charging an ongoing commission, and this commission will vary from a website to a website. But some other websites, they actually just charge a one-off fee, and this is used to basically to get the contacts for a tutor or for an educator. I would highly recommend actually shopping around, because that will allow you to actually get the most competitive price for that particular educator. And obviously I have my own educational consultancy, but I do advertise myself on different tutoring platforms, and the prices will differ from one platform to the other, because it depends on what different websites charge. So it's definitely worth shopping around. Advice number 4, check tutor reviews and do ask around. So let's kind of cover the reviews first. So on big tutoring platforms, each tutor profile will have a section for feedback. And usually the best educators will have very high score for the reviews, which basically then you can see what other students and parents wrote and whether they enjoyed the lessons and how effective they were. Again, it's quite important to kind of get feedback from different people and to see the profile, because those are genuine feedbacks. And if people, if someone does well, your profile gets even stronger and you kind of come to the top of the search. Highest reviews reflect the best educators. The other thing is good to do is to basically ask family and friends around for tutors and educators. Again, personal recommendations is the way I get most of my work and clients, because once you do a great job for one person, obviously they'll be very likely to share your work and your contact details. However, there is also a little bit of a tendency if a client finds a very good educator, and that educator, by being good, they have limited hours, the families sometimes will try to keep the contacts to themselves and not pass the details so much. So kind of just be wary of that as well. But it's always good to ask around, especially from the parental WhatsApp groups from your school, anything like that. But getting reviews kind of from different sources and doing your own research. And my final advice, number 5, is start searching sooner and send a proper message. Okay, so let's break this up. So if you're truly looking for the best educator for your child, and someone who does that for a full-time job, just be aware that the best educators, they get booked out very, very quickly. So usually by January time, for example, in my case, I'm really unlikely to have many available hours, and I'm usually going to be pretty booked out. Obviously, the sooner you book an educator, the more time your child will have to correct their educational mistakes and really adopt new educational systems and methods. The other final thing I would say is, if you are going to find someone on the website or tutoring platforms, what I would highly recommend is spend proper 5 minutes sending a lovely message. I sometimes get messages, automated ones from some platforms or from my own website, and everyone's like, oh, hi, I'm just looking for X, and that's it. Or like an automated message saying, oh, I would like to have those lessons using whiteboard on this website, which is basically like a standard automated message on some tutoring platforms. And I'm like, you want me to invest my time into changing and shaping the education of your child when you can't be bothered to spend a couple of minutes sending me a proper personal message? So for parents who are trying to find the best educators and really kind of come across strong as well, I would highly recommend spending 5 to 10 minutes drafting a really nice personal message to a tutor and saying, okay, these are the requirements, would you be able to help, blah, blah, blah. It really does make a difference, because finding the best educator is a two-way street. There needs to be a fit between the family, between the child, and also between the tutor. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel too. Every support really helps to grow. If you're looking for a private educator, obviously I do a lot of teaching myself, and I have an excellent team of educators working with me who really inspire the children to work hard and really help them on their educational journey. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.